WINS News Time at 10:52. Joining us live on the phone this morning is Mayor Bill de Blasio. Thank you so much for being with us, sir.
Thank you, Susan.
Well, we understand the city is making another move to deal with bad landlords in the boroughs, so tell us what that's about.
Well, absolutely. We're going to throw the book at landlords who have homeless facilities in their buildings and are not providing decent housing to these folks who are already in distress. Any of the landlords who are in the cluster buildings. This is buildings where there's some of the units held for folks who are homeless, others are everyday tenants. Some of those landlords have repeatedly failed to make the repairs and to provide a decent standard of living. We're going after them. We will bring cases against them on any outstanding violations. And there's community organizations that we've been working with, some of whom have not done the right thing either. One is an organization called LCG Community Services that has managed some of these cluster sites but not provided the kind of standard we need for people to live in. So we're going at all these organizations with legal action. If we cannot get them to make repairs, we'll make the repairs ourselves and charge them. If they don't pay their bills, we'll take further action to remove them. So it's going to be a very aggressive approach to make sure that these landlords are providing decent housing to people.
And the apartments themselves, are they inhabitable or do folks need to be rehomed?
Well, the very key point you're raising, they could be fixed, and we want them fixed in the meantime. We intend to get out of these cluster sites ultimately because there's been too many problems associated with them. And obviously that would be part of a larger effort to reduce the number of people in shelter that we're working on right now. But we want the repairs made in the here and now. Anyone who has to live in these sites, even temporarily, want them to be in a decent circumstance. No landlord and no nonprofit organization has a right to give people housing that doesn't meet city standards. So if they're not doing it, again, we will go in and make the repairs, and we'll charge them, and we'll use all the legal tools we have. We're not going to accept any organization that doesn't meet city standards.
Mr. Mayor, you're taking some heat today for not attending a state hearing that is being held right across the street from City Hall on mayoral control of schools. So forget about Albany lawmakers for a minute. Do you think that not being there perhaps sends a wrong message to parents and school kids?
No, because I spent 4 full hours at a hearing, exceptional hearing in Albany a few weeks ago, the same exact committee. Went over a very, very large number of issues with the senators, answered literally every single question, Susan. I stayed as long as they had questions, was proud to do it, laid out the case for mayoral control. I said, look, there's no other system that's worked in this city. The previous system was characterized by chaos and corruption. Since Mayor Bloomberg achieved mayoral control, an area I agree with him on, we've seen the graduation rate of this city go from 50% to now over 70% in less than 15 years because of mayoral control education. I was able to increase the number of kids in full-day pre-K from about 20,000 to almost 70,000 because of mayoral control education. So I gave the senators the facts in a 4-hour hearing. By the way, when Michael Bloomberg went for renewal of mayoral control in 2009, he got a 6-year extension from the Senate, including a lot of the same people, without going to a single hearing. So I think I've spent the time and shown the respect for the Senate, but now the facts are in. It's time for them to decide. And we've got 1.1 million kids depending on the state Senate to keep in place the only form of governing our schools that's ever worked.
There continue to be questions about the various investigations into your administration, and at a news conference yesterday you said that you'd be releasing information that would make it perfectly clear that everything was on the up and up. Specifically, you mentioned a list of donors who didn't get what they had asked the city for. I think a lot of New Yorkers probably don't really care about that list. They want to see the list of those who did. So will we see that?
The point I made yesterday is we're going to speak to the matters that are under investigation in the right way. Obviously, we want to respect that the investigating bodies we'll want to communicate with them and make sure that what we intend to talk about is appropriate. But we're going to go over a number of matters that have been raised. And what I think is going to be very clear at the end of this is we hold very high ethical standards. There are lots of checks and balances. Decisions are made because of the public good. On the other side, the issues have been raised about the different causes that I've asked people to support. We've made very clear everything's been done appropriately according to city rules, and everything's been disclosed. So we're going to lay out the facts, and I think it's going to make very clear that any decisions made were made on the merits, and certainly not because of any other involvement that anyone had. And the proof will be exactly to your point, the proof will be a pattern of decisions that were on the merit, meaning no correlation to whether someone had any other involvement supporting anything else I believed in.
And we have one more minute here. One final question. You know, at the recent Inner Circle fundraising show, you and Governor Cuomo were spoofed as being like Hamilton and Burr. And while that was very cute and funny, there's really a feud going on here that is playing out in the press. My question is, how does that help the average New Yorker?
Look, I think the bottom line is with anything involving Albany, and I think I should generalize this because it makes the same point. Look at this discussion we're having about mayoral control of education and the state senate. It's the same exact point. If mayoral control of education works, if Mayor Bloomberg, Mayor Giuliani, and I agree on it, if 100 business leaders yesterday signed on supporting mayoral control of education, does it really make sense for Albany to consider doing something different? There's times when Albany needs to understand the city of New York is on the right track and to support us in doing the work. So my answer to you is there are so many things that we do in the city that we can do on our own. There's other times where we'd like Albany's support, but there's a long history of Albany not supporting the city of New York and putting its priorities elsewhere. I would like to see the maximum cooperation with the Senate, with the governor as well. But I'm never surprised when that isn't there, and it does not stop us from serving the people of New York City.
Mayor Bill de Blasio, live on 1010 Wins, thank you so much for your time.